takes me down.
This is session 1464, session 51 with TVP on 10/4/85.
Monroe, at that particular point in your time and space, were tuning in to his cries or pleas for help as you on the Earth's plane would be describing them. For that reason, and because the energy level at the Institute was drawing the time frames and the vibrations to the Institute, we felt that it would be a good time to show you exactly what can be done within the lab and with some of the explorers that you work with. We do not intend to have this a primary function of either Winter or other explorers there in the lab, but it is something that from time to time you could consider, and it would be a worthwhile endeavor. The problem with Winter when she came out of this particular episode was that she did have to take the time to let Charlie enter in and use her vibrations, and the very voice vibrations he was using created the fear and anxiety which set off the rest of her nervous system and in fact triggered the actual feeling that was taking place. The problem that occurred was that she was called back too soon before we had total time to realign her body back to the one that she is more comfortable with and to get rid of the elements which cause the nervousness and anxiety. We were able to work with this on the way back to her home place and did not see that it caused any problems. In the future, we have decided that it would be best that should we decide to perform a rescue again, we will be the intervening variable and will let you know when Winter is here and when she can be called back.
Very good. That would be helpful to us. We of course are not clear about the best way to use this kind of a situation. When you suggest that this is something we might wish to do now and then in the lab, either through Winter or other explorers, how should we proceed to do that?
You will find that your explorers will automatically tap into energies that are frightened or nervous, as you are aware of, that with their own guides and helpers they can work to bring these energies to a higher level, a level of seeing, as you would put it, the light or the greater picture and scheme of things. We will say from the state of Winter, she is not particularly interested in rescue, and in her own mind told us after that session that she was not into rescue. She feels she gave that up when she left the practicing psychologist role, but we have different plans, and from time to time we will allow another energy to come through just because she is an easy subject to work with. Now, when you are working with your own explorers, take your friend Marie, for example, it would be very easy to guide Marie and Marie's friend to open up to let that particular entity, which is most on the same vibration as her, let that particular energy start to flow through and to come through and to speak to you and tell you exactly what your problem is, what her problem is, or his, and how they need to be best elevated out of the problem. We are speaking in terms of spiritual. Just a second. I understand. I am being informed that I am not being clear and that I need to stop being redundant in what I'm saying, because otherwise I will be just like all the other entities that channel and it will be gobbledygook. Let me be clear. There are energies, as you are aware, caught in certain levels which are attached to the earth and to the earth's vibration. In order for these energies to grow, they must be raised out of the earth's vibration so that they can see that their own consciousness does go on and can be attuned to a finer, higher level of things. You can ask the energy that you are talking to, the entity, to let you know if they are in touch or on the same wavelength with an energy such as Charlie that needs to be rescued. Oftentimes, people at the Monroe Institute will merely start to see a picture of someone who looks sad or lost or in a depressed frame of mind. They can ask or tune in, as you would say, that particular energy, their name, and they can ask them what is wrong and move in to see if they can work to alleviate the situation. There are certain areas you can move into readily if you wish to perform experiments. Vietnam is one particular area because most of those who died in Vietnam were young men around the age of 19, and they had not totally set their own belief system in action. And therefore, you might say that for many of them, they died unexpectedly and not knowing what they believed at all. And because they did not know what they believed, they chose to stay in that state of forever dying or just to the point of before they died. You can go to any particular war that you would wish to. However, Vietnam was quite different from the Civil War, even though in the Civil War the young men were the same age or up to slightly older. They had a different type of belief system than those in society in the 60s, 70s had. Was I clearer at that point in time?
Yes, I think I understand what you're saying there now.
My particular term resonance is Namay. I know that sounds like name, and possibly that is where it came from, but as Namay, I am a particular part of a cluster that is in touch with the Ghandi cluster and very close to them. I am not exactly a part of it, but in order to tell you how I am attached to them would be much too difficult. But I am giving you this information because it is sort of my specialty. It is what I am carrying out at this point in time as learning and for my own growth, and I have been allowed to come through at this point in time and to give you this information. It was the cluster itself that corrected me on the way I was talking to you, because it would be very easy for me to just ramble and not give you precise information as the Ghandi cluster likes to give forth. I hope I have straightened that out
very
now.
Very good. Yes, that's a help. And we would refer to you as Namay. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you very much for this explanation. We appreciate that.
You are very welcome. All right, now we may proceed. Are there further questions today?
Yes, I have a number of questions. That was an interesting contact that you arranged with Namay, and that was helpful to us. We were not quite sure what all was happening in the last rescue.
We felt that rescue is beneficial, and that is something that should be done from time to time in the lab. In fact, if it can be straightened out so that the explorer is totally back into their own particular state of consciousness, it would be good to do one at least every other session or so. We will wait and see how things work out on this end. There are many energies out in our particular plane working with or trying to contact those energies that need to be, in your terms, rescued.
Are you suggesting there every other session with Winter that this might be done, or you mean just
it could be with Winter, it could be with any of the explorers that you are working with. It does not have to be. We merely wanted to show you with Winter what it is like and what you might expect. You got from that particular session, we would say, one of the more extremes of a rescue. There are other rescues that are much more simple and much more easy to manage. You got a very significant fear state in that particular one. We felt not just for Winter, but for you as people in your control booth as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and you're indicating that the main difficulty we had with that there was that we didn't give time for Winter to get back into her own
yes,
body. Mm-hmm.
This is correct. She was into her body, but the vibrations set up were those of another energy and not hers. And using your terms, to her, it felt extremely uncentered, and that was the problem. We had to work quickly to try to get her back to center.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you. Well, we certainly will remember that. I'm now talking to someone in the Ghandi cluster.
Yes, you are.
Very good. Thank you. With Winter, I don't always know. Sometimes it seems. I was wondering...
It really doesn't make any difference, does it?
Well, I sometimes sense very different energies, and it is helpful to me to know. I'm pleased when you identify yourself. Let me put it that way.
Yes. Well, the energies we feel are a lesson in learning what is out here, as long as what comes through is the truth as clear as it can be, given all the circumstances. That is the most important thing to remember, whether it comes from Ghandi, from Brahmadan, from Namay, or from the energy Sarah. But we appreciate your attentiveness to detail. We know that Winter likes the different feelings of the different energies, and we feel that is good feedback for her.
Yes, you used a phrase in the circumstances, the clearest energy we can get, or the clearest we can get to truth in the circumstances. We have the impression that there is a variation in the energies we speak to in terms of how much they see, not necessarily, I guess, whether it's truth or untruth, but that we have the sense that we have sometimes information from a much greater perspective than at other times. Is that a correct assumption?
Yes, this is correct. There are parts of the energies that automatically can see much more the total picture than other parts of the energy, the same as those of you on your plane who use their mind in different ways and can see the future with much more detail than some others. It is all there for those who want to see. On this plane, those energies which do not see quickly at least know how to see more rapidly or to get the information. It is much like pushing a button and having the information move before them.
Mm-hmm. That's what you've referred to as scanning?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I have another question about preparing for these sessions with Winter. When I began to think about having a lab session with her, questions began to come to me, and I'm wondering about the process by which that occurs. How much of that is help that you are giving me? How much is help I'm getting from my guides or Winter's guides? How is that all working?
It is really a combination of both. Your guides play a very strong role in giving you questions. They are also very much in tune with the questions that we would want to see brought forth. And as you are aware, because of the format, with the exception of those energies like Namay, we are not going to roll on and on endlessly. But your guides and other energies that neither of you are aware of, are taking a role in formulating the questions. The interesting thing with any type of psychic phenomena is that once you have formed the question, you have the answer. And so you do not really need us to channel it. The highest truth that you can reach in working with the explorers and looking to the universe is how to formulate the question. It is almost like we are scanning the comedian who says, I have the answer, or I have the question, what is the answer? It is a reverse. Once you start to formulate the questions, you also could just as easily step forward and have the answer. You must have a clear question.
If that's so, then I'm not quite sure about the best way to proceed in the lab to make these sessions as meaningful as possible.
You are doing at this point exactly what you should be doing. You need to present to all the explorers more challenges in the way of questions and push them harder to give more detail than at this point any of them are willing to do. They can get the detailed answer, not unlike when you are doing remote viewing things, but for any type of question, they still have the human side of reluctance to be more than general in many instances. So not just for Winter, we use her merely as an example, but for all of those that will be coming in the future, you can be prepared to work with them and help them build their skill, because what is actually taking place is that as Winter grows and learns, and as Marie grows and learns, and is Mike growing and learning, what is taking place, they will go forth into the world with their message and with the skills that they have learned here. But always these skills will be brought back to where they trained and learned, to the Institute. And the Institute, because of the visibility that they are going to be coming into in the not too distant future, the Institute must be prepared for the onslaught of people that will wish to come and to train there. So you can look on it also as a training ground for what will be taking place. Also, as more and more books come out, the Institute will, we feel now, and we agree this is not what we felt a year ago, we feel that it is slowly starting to move just clockwise in the direction it should be moving. And at this point, if you were looking at a clock, it would be on your clock. The Institute has moved to around 2 o'clock. It will move full circle and will be a very much higher place of understanding once this comes about.
All right, very good. That's a reassuring message for us also. Along with your suggestion about pushing harder, let me push harder on the question I was asking about how questions seem to come to me. Is there is there some process occurring like a consultation among those of you?
Let me see if I can bring it down at your unconscious level. There are things that you personally need to know for your own growth and learning. The guardians that are working with you are working with your unconscious and with you on the astral plane to get this information to you in a conscious manner, or in a manner that you can start to put it to good use. What happens is this information is not in a verbal question form. It is, as we talked before, when we would send thought balls to you or thought forms. This is what would take place with your guardian, it would press the feeling and sensation and the thought form, not verbal, but the thought form of what you needed to know into your own energy level, which actually is outside of that part of you call the body. Then your mind, in turn, picks up that thought form and translates it as best it can into words, often viewing a thought form and going, what is this? And then you have the question. It is the truth, the information that we wish to get through to all on your plane is like what you refer to down there as the collective unconscious. We are all on the same wavelength. We do not sit around and have tea and discuss what questions we want to come up, but it is a general knowing of what needs to be transmitted to the earth and what is the best way we can get the information to those on earth who will best spread it out. We feel right now that because your vibration and Winter's, and actually all of those of you in the lab at this point in time, are very much on the same vibration, and it will be good to see you start to conduct some fun experiments, because you are here to play, some fun experiments using mind and getting away from verbal communication. And this will come. We have to work with Mike just a little bit more, but we feel that, let's see, this is your month, October, that by the first of the year, certainly by the second month of your calendar year, he will be in a very good state to start to do some unusual experiments with all there.
All right, very good. Well, at any rate, however this works, I appreciate the help I'm getting with the formulating questions. As you've suggested, that's one of the most important things that monitors here do.
This is correct, and it is not for you at this point in time to really know the end result. You certainly can, but to know that you are on the right path, and it will be made very clear to you as you get a bit further down the road where it is all leading to.
All right, very good. It's a question that is related, I think, the things we've been talking about, and it just has to do with those of us on Earth helping others of us on Earth. And I'd like to ask some questions around the idea of what is the best way for us to help our loved ones who seem to feel that they're in trouble. Things that we can do on a mental level or a spiritual level that will be helpful to them.
The best thing and the easiest way to work is one that we have talked before, and that is on the astral plane. You can accomplish much more on that plane than you can on this plane, where the mind still throws in its yeses and yes but type of language. You can continually send out love to that person. Do not send out what you believe the answer to be, but rather send out and surround the person with love. And then when you go to bed at night, merely make the request to those who are guiding you that you wish to work with that person and those around the person who are disturbing to the person at this point in time to do whatever it takes for the highest good of all and to alleviate any sadness or stress that is there. You will begin to see a noticeable change after you have worked in this way for 2 or 3 nights. Patient gets in the way of that which is more times than not. And more times than not, words cannot possibly give forth the feeling and energy and love that you need to share. And that energy of love is very strong if you just let it flow.
We've been having an example in our family of stress that's occurring with our oldest daughter, and who's pregnant with twins, and the twins have been threatening somehow to arrive early before it would seem to us to be appropriate. Why would a soul want to do something like that?
Are we speaking of your soul who does not think it is appropriate? It sounds more that we're speaking in those terms than in the soul of the twins
Yes.
that are wishing to come forth, because they are older and they do not need the preparatory time that those humans on your plane think is needed before they can come forth. This is again just an example of your Earth's illusions. This is perhaps one of the greatest illusions about how long does it take a soul to be ready to enter the Earth's plane. And right now there is certainly tremendous energy fighting against these particular souls coming in any sooner than should be expected. We do feel that they will be here certainly by the 31st of October, and we know that you are preparing for that event in the very near future. We do not feel this is something that should cause you or your daughter stress. Indeed, what is causing stress is her reluctance to give up control to the universe. Although she is very talented, there still is a very small part of her that tries to totally maintain control. And once she will, as do you, Rita, that's where it comes from. As she will relinquish this control, she will have a much freer time, because everyone around her feels the subtle but need to still feel she is in control.
Yes, that sounds very right to me, both about her and about myself. And we've been able to talk about that verbally as well, which I think is helpful. And I'm pleased by your reassurance that that's all working out as it should. I'm wondering why souls would decide to come in as twins or triplets or sextuplets or whatever.
Actually, because at that particular point in time, they are two energies that feel that the life experiences that can be shared can only be shared, and they can only grow by coming together to experience much of the same environment and much of the identical time and space on Earth. Often the two energies that choose to come in as twins or in multiples are energies that in a past life have been not as friendly, possibly totally at odds, even to the point of severe hating each other. And once they left the Earth's plane, they and those that were guiding them decided the best way they could remedy this severe animosity toward each other would be to come in as like each other as possible, as similar, with as many circumstances being similar, dictating their particular environment. And so it is a choice, and it is a way to grow rapidly. Otherwise, they might have to spend 2, 3, or more lifetimes revolving and coming in and meeting each other in order to resolve past differences. There are other examples. That is only one example. There are other examples when the soul that comes in is really one total soul part like of a soul cluster, and the two energies that do come in are the same. They are truly one. And this is what will be the place with your daughter's children, although there will be a time, the first 3 years, when you will think, what I have formerly told you is true. This is not the case. There will be strife, but indeed, the twins that have chosen to come together now truly are one energy and will be on the same wavelength and act as one. But you will not see this until a few years down the road.
Let me see if I understand that. Are you saying that this would be like one soul having two simultaneous manifestations?
Yes, much like that. Much like as you yourself, when you speak of bilocation, you yourself does many things on this plane that you are not aware of. It is the same type of element. It is much like, for you it'd be easier for us to say, two very distinct components of the soul cluster have chosen to come in separate bodies, but together, very much together.
Now I think I'm confused about that now. Are you saying that the notion of a soul expressing itself simultaneously in two bodies, or manifesting in two bodies, is the same as two members of a soul cluster coming in together?
Yes, that is what we are trying to say. We are trying to say that it is, but it is members of the soul cluster. We are getting back to the concept of oneness, and we are searching for words. As you are aware, we are all the same. We are in different bodies anyway. The soul clusters that we attach ourselves to are still the same energies that are everywhere. The souls that choose to come in as twins are still one very large piece of a soul cluster that chooses to manifest itself in two separate bodies, but it is more one than you usually see on the Earth's plane. We may have to work and scan to see if we can come back with a better definition of how this is, or perhaps discuss it with you in a dream where we can present pictures and carry out the concepts in much more detail.
Yes, that would be helpful. This seems to me another example of our trying to make distinctions where distinctions do not exist.
Yes, this is true. But we are given at this point in time to working more and more with dreams, with those in the lab, with all those in the lab, and we feel that we will try to clarify this symbolically as best we can in that particular state.
Oh, very good.
It will be your state, not Winter's state. You understand that?
Yes. I had one other question about twins. Sometimes twins come in joined bodies here, what we call Siamese twins. Is there something different about what happens there?
Only in that the soul itself, or the souls, depending on how it is, often when that happens, we are going back to the first state that we talked about, where these two particular souls were at such odds in a former lifetime, they have to be bound together and dependent on each other in order to exist, at least for some time in this particular lifetime. There is no way a soul can be more dependent or be forced to be more dependent than when you literally share parts of the same organs or parts of the same body. This is a very fast transition learning state for those souls who wish to move rapidly and to resolve some, as you would say, old karma.
Is it then an inappropriate thing that we do when we try to physically separate those bodies?
Well, actually, yes, it is. Although, as you are aware, there are no accidents, and going in, it doesn't make a difference whether you do or do not separate them. But yes, ideally, the souls would remain linked together in order to get the most growth out of the situation. And they do not come to the earth's plane to live a long life. They come to be fused together to resolve this karma, to pass back to this plane, and then to be able to reincarnate in separate bodies, but having had the experience and being much more sensitive and having grown.
All right, very good. Another question I wanted to ask about today is that we've been receiving two teachings from two teachings, ideas which seem to be in conflict, and these have to do with our attitudes toward our physical bodies. And in some of the teachings, we get the message that we should love our physical bodies, that it's extremely important for us to be aware of the fact that our consciousness exists throughout our bodies, and that we, if we can love every cell in our body, so to speak, that this would prevent illness and so on. And what seems to be at odds with that we get from other teaching, which is that since we are not bodies, we're better off not even dealing with such illusions as our bodies, not seeing them, not paying attention to them. These seem to be in conflict for us. Do you feel that they are, and if so, what do you sense about that idea?
We sense that the second that you speak, you must be so in touch with your body that it can cease to exist. However, this does not mean you should neglect your body, but rather, as you are aware, the most basic teachings on your earth's plane deal with the fact that the body is the temple of God, and thus we feel the same type information should go forth, that you need the body as absolutely as healthy and as clear-minded as can be, free from all drugs, in order to best hear and communicate and heal and use your energies effectively. If you go into Taoism at all, you will start to see the controlled use of energy, which you need the body in order to control this energy. We feel that the concept of not needing the body is actually a higher concept, but one where the middle elements of first getting the body so in tune and so refined has been omitted for some particular reason, perhaps just oversight on the particular energy that is coming forth.
All right, let me check and see if I understood what you said there. The notion that we are not physical bodies is something, of course, that we accept. That we are more than our physical bodies.
That is correct.
And that this is, in a sense, true, although it doesn't lead to the idea that therefore we neglect the bodies or that we do not.
This is correct. Yeah. And of course, Mr. Monroe has heard our song and dance on his body and his neglect of his particular physical body. But yes, your body must not be neglected. You are far more than your body, and you've had thousands and thousands of bodies, and this is just one more in this particular time-space element.
What about the idea of loving your physical body?
We feel that you have to love you, and you is certainly part, or your physical body is a part of you, and those on your planet look and can only see their physical body when they think of you. So certainly they should love the physical body, not to the extent that they do not see the mind. For instance, your athletes who become so engrossed in physical body and winning often do not see that there is something more than just the handsome, athletic, physical body. This is not what we're saying. We are saying that it is a part of you, and if you do not love that which is a part of you in this point in time, how can you love others?
Yes, I think we have distinguished there in our thinking between loving ourselves as a consciousness or as a part of God or whatever, and distinguish between that and loving our physical body, and that seems to be somewhat of a new idea to us.
The physical body, however, though, is that body which, as you are aware, you chose for this particular lifetime. Your physical body says a lot more about you than you realize. It has elements from all of your former lifetimes tied into that particular body. For instance, Winter's fingers can be shown that they were chopped off in another lifetime. The hands and the lines on your lines show the tragedy and the information and the spiritual growth that you have chosen over many, many lifetimes. And again, if we use Winter as an example, she has always had old hands because she is old. She is very old. Everyone is like this. Everyone has information in their body from the very soles of their feet to their knees to the very moles on their body, which map out certain areas and territories that they have lived in past lifetimes. And so it's more than just your body is really a lot of air. It is much like, I think we used the example one time before, a baseball in the middle of a giant stadium. And to an ant looking up would just see air and energy. The ant does not really see you, a body, as you put it together. But nevertheless, you should love and take care of that which is physical that you see when you look into a reflecting object.
You mentioned the importance of having bodies be drug free. I'd been wondering if there was any point in using drugs for growth. People have tried to use specific kinds of drugs for consciousness expansion and have found those experiences helpful sometimes. How do you see that?
We are sure that you know. We would say it is just something that is. It is just certainly neither good nor bad. It is just something that they have chosen to do, and for some people, they have opened other areas of awareness. Always with these people who do open those areas of awareness, they eventually come full circle to realizing they cannot maintain those awareness states given drugs. They have to find other ways, more natural ways, to maintaining the state. So we're not saying it's good or bad. Perhaps in some instances it is an interesting phenomena that takes place. We, of course, would advocate the seeking out of the mind in ways other than those illusory, we are having trouble with this word, those fantasy-like means. We're referring to hallucinogens.
Mm-hmm. All right.
The most common drug that presents problems is, there are two. The first is alcohol, because it deadens the senses, and those who are drinking are really drinking to deaden the senses and to shut out what is being said to them. And what happens is their guardians speak louder and louder, and they drink more and more. As you are aware, Winter went through a time when we asked her to cut out her one bottle of beer, merely to show her that although it was a small amount to her of alcohol, it did change the way she perceived things. Now that we have shown her that, she willingly makes a choice whether she wants to hear us all the time or whether she wishes to have a glass of wine and tune us out, and that's fine. We find that with most people, they can make this adjustment. They need to be aware of what they're shutting out. The other drug is caffeine, which does the same thing as alcohol, only in the opposite direction. It speeds up the system so much you are not finely tuned, and you are shutting out many things that are taking place. We could lump into that any stimulants such as tobacco or any other drugs that would increase the vibratory level of the body. What it does is it shifts the body off center, and you are very clear about day-to-day material things, but you are very unclear and off the mark about spiritual and cosmic consciousness.
What about marijuana in this connection?
It would be lumped into the same category as alcohol for us, in that it does depress the senses. And although people say they focus in so clearly on this or that, they really are missing so much more that is going on because of their focused stimuli. It is not actually different from the way all stimulant drugs also work on focusing in.
Mm-hmm. So it's the claim that this helps to expand consciousness is essentially not so, or not, certainly not true in a helpful sense.
Not in a helpful sense. Actually, the drugs that, as you are aware, do expand most rapidly would be the hallucinogens, but also because of the way the mind is working when one takes a drug of this type, you are very liable to step off into more unsavory energies than into very positive energies. Therefore, we suggest that you do not use any drugs, that you refine your eating habits, and that you pay more attention to exactly what is going on in the universe. Sugar is another. We could make a long list, actually, but we will stop with the known drugs.
I'm going to take a moment to switch to another tape.